We're back for our daily college basketball best bets here on Monday, November 10th. We had a great weekend with college basketball, going 8-2 on the channel with our best bets. We've now picked up some steam. Let's keep it on going here for this second week of the college basketball year. Folks, before we get into the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more daily college basketball best bets here on the channel. Again, every single morning at 5 a.m., college basketball best bets, and at 7 a.m. Pacific, our NBA best bets. So again, make sure to join us every single day on the channel for those two. Also, later today, our college football week number 12 predictions. Likely over 4 hours of week 12 college football predictions, so you're not going to want to miss that video. Later today, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern here on Greedo Plays. And obviously, tomorrow, NFL predictions coming out, and yesterday on Greedo Plays MMA, we posted our UFC 322, Della Maddalena versus Makhachev, full card predictions, again, from Madison Square Garden over on Greedo Plays MMA. Okay, on to the first now of our 5 best bets. Again, 4-1 days, both on Saturday and Sunday. Let's look for another good one today, and we're going to kick things off with a matchup at 4 o'clock. Yes, at 4 o'clock between SIUE at home in Edwardsville, Illinois, taking on the Indiana State Sycamores. I'm taking the Cougars at home. Guys, we had SIUE the other day. Early morning spot, or afternoon, midday, let's say, spot against UTSA on the road. We had SIUE to cover 7.5 points it was. They don't need the points. They go straight into UTSA and win the game outright. After falling behind early in that game, SIUE really put it on UTSA, closed out that first half in dominant fashion, and dominated the second half as well, winning the game by 17 points, 77-60. Now, SIUE got a big effort out of their senior out of South Sudan. That is Ring Malith. Malith, again, drops 20-plus points in that game. He's now averaging 18 on the season, albeit in 2 games. But SIUE's ability to attack the basket and continuously, again, find shots inside was a huge plus for them in that game. Only took 14 3-pointers. They did hit on 6 of them, but that's, again, not entirely how SIUE is going to play. They're a team that wants to get inside. They want to take high percentage looks, and they did exactly that against the UTSA Roadrunners. In terms of their opponents, they're taking on the Missouri Valley's own in the Indiana State Sycamores, a 1-1 team this season, but a team that has played one Division I school all year. Their first game, we'll say that in a second. Last game, they beat Illinois Tech at home. Do not care. The 1D1 game that they have played, they went on the road to Charlotte, North Carolina, and they got beat down by the 49ers. We'll see what Charlotte does this season. Again, mixed bag of sorts last year. Charlotte had their runs when they were pretty solid, at least really early in the year. They went to that Hawaii tournament, and they didn't play all that poorly. They won a crazy double overtime game. One of the crazier games you're going to see in college basketball was that double overtime game last year on the 23rd of December between Charlotte and Murray State. Anyways, though, they were pretty bad once they got into American League play, American Conference play. Regardless, though, they had their runs early in the season. They were led by Nick Graves, who is a prominent player, it so appears, for the Creighton Blue Jays this season. But Charlotte's gotten worse, and that's a team that Indiana State goes on the road and plays, and they lose, and it's not really that competitive of a matchup. Charlotte's always up around 10 points in that second half. Indiana State has seen better years. Obviously, it was 2023 into 2024, which was their great year. They go to the NIT championship game, obviously eventually losing to Seton Hall, but that was their big year with obviously Robbie Avila, who's now at St. Louis, left for another Missouri Valley team. Regardless of that, though, Indiana State has seen better days. They lost a lot of their guys in that 1 year, again, losing all of them to St. Louis, who's not, did I say they're in the Missouri Valley? Not in the Missouri Valley. Anyways, we get Indiana State here going on the road against SIUE. I think SIUE is fine. We've just seen them win a game on the road and a big win at that. I liked what all their guys were able to do. Again, Ring Malith was their big scorer, but Miles Thompson also dropped 13, and really the defensive effort at SIUE was dominant as well. I mean, how much can you credit that to the Cougars' defense and simply put UTSA just missing shots? I don't know, because UTSA did go on their really long runs in that game where they couldn't hit anything. They, I think, had about a 10-ish minute span where they didn't hit a 3-pointer, and they shot a bunch of threes, did UTSA, that shot 29 in that game. But at the same time, you got to give credit to where credit is due with SIUE. They were able to get to the free throw line. They took 26 free throws in that game, only hit on 15 of them, but it's a team that is going to attack the basket. They are a team that's going to make you foul them, and I'm looking at Indiana State. That first game is not a great result at all. They had 3 players who went over 10 points. Their leading scorer was Ian Scott, their senior out of Plainfield, Indiana. First year at the Division I level, dropped 24 points in their loss against Charlotte. Camp Wagner scored 12. He's a junior guard for this team. Was at Indiana State last season. Started quite a bit of games for them last year, but he's your third leading scorer. Derek Vorst off the bench dropped 14. Junior out of Lukey, Ohio, I believe it is. I'm not wowed by this team, man. Obviously, again, it is not the same Sycamore squad from 23-24. They regressed heavily in 2024-2025. And I'm looking at this team now, and again, going to Charlotte, I don't think Charlotte's that great. Nick Graves is gone. I don't love what that team's got going. And Indiana State goes there and gets embarrassed. I think SIUE is probably better than Charlotte. Am I hyping up SIUE a little bit too much? Maybe. I mean, this was the Ohio Valley winner last year. I know they got into the tournament and they played Houston in the first round and they lost by 40 points. But, I mean, it says something if you go out there and win your mid-major conference. I like them over Indiana State here. We're going to take the money line at minus 140, I believe it is, minus 145. Hopefully that number comes down just a little bit on the SIUE Cougars. But minus 145 is good enough for me here. I believe they should be able to go out and beat Indiana State. I think the Sycamores are kind of on the downturn right now, as I think SIUE is going the other way. Again, I can't express to you how big of a win that was going to UTSA and winning. You're a plus 280 underdog and you're 7.5 point dog, and you go out there and you don't just cover. No, you outright win the game. And really in that entire second half, there's no doubt that you're going to go out there and win that game. I'm going to take the SIUE Cougars to beat Indiana State to kick off the day. Minus 145 for SIUE here at home, again against Indiana State. On to our second best bet of the video. We move to a matchup here with the Big East's own in the Seton Hall Pirates. They're at home and they will be hosting the Fairfield Stags again from New Jersey. I'm gonna go with Fairfield in the points. Fairfield has played a Power 5 school so far this year. They go to University Park and play Penn State. It is University Park. No, University Park is definitely Maryland. Regardless, they go to State College is Texas A&M. They go to Penn State and play. I don't know why I'm blanking on the name of Penn State City right now. They go to Penn State. I usually say Beaver Stadium for football. They go to Penn State, Happy Valley. They go to Penn State, and they only lose by 8 points. That game goes into halftime tied. Fairfield eventually loses the game by 8 points. We'll take that. Now, the MAAC is no juggernaut of a conference. Who knows who's going to win this year? It was the Mount saw a lot of success at times last year. Marist is the worst team to play college basketball. If you remember last year, that team was horrible, and somehow they had a fake record. Like, not actually fake, but anyways. It was stupid. They were like 10-2 at one point in conference play, and they couldn't win a conference game to save their lives. Regardless, Fairfield, again, coming out of the MAAC, which is, again, just a weird conference. But they take on Seton Hall, a Seton Hall team last season who had their night scoring-wise, but for the most part, really couldn't score. They'd have their random, explosions, but for the most part, this is a team that would struggle to crack 60 points. Even in non-con play, I'll never forget, first day of the season last year, they played St. Peter's and only beat them by 4 points, and then they proceeded later in the week to lose to the Fordham Rams. They lost to Hofstra by 1 point. Seton Hall was a mess last season. So far, all right. I guess I can't say so far so good. They've won their first 2 games, getting their get back against the Peacocks of St. Peter's in their bye game. Awesome. You won it by 27 this time around. Much better. They played Wagner in their last game, and they beat the Seahawks by 7 points. I mean, really? I don't know. I can't get behind a Seton Hall team that doesn't have many scorers. I mean, simply put, they just don't have many guys who can attack the basket. They don't have many guys who can straight up shoot the basketball. Because you look at their lineup and it's like, all right, who is your best scorer? To me, there's not a clear-cut number one guy. I mean, Elijah Fisher, I guess, is that? Is it Elijah Fisher? Is it Simpkins? I don't know. I mean, guys, Fisher in the St. Peter's game plays 22 minutes, goes 1 for 5 from the field, scores 8 points. Game against Wagner, Elijah Fisher scores 21 on 29 minutes, 8 of 14 shooting, but 1 of 4 from the 3-point line. I think this team, they're going to struggle all year long finding guys to actually score for them. I think Seton Hall, obviously they were one of the worst teams in the Big East last year. I think they've gotten worse. Because, I mean, there's just not many players on the team. There's not many, there's not many Big East caliber guys on Seton Hall. They lost quite a bit last year. A lot of guys transferred out. Makes sense. They replaced all of these, obviously, guys who left with, Adam Clark's from Merrimack, Simpkins is from Elon, Elijah Fisher is from Pacific, which is cool, but it's not like they have top-level talent. Guys, Seton Hall, when I look at the rosters of every team, I believe Seton Hall is going to be by far the worst in the Big East this season. Oh, DePaul. I don't think DePaul's honestly as bad as this team is, because Seton Hall didn't get many notable transfers. I know they've been all right so far this year, but beating Wagner by 7 points, that's not a great sign. And it seems like you still have trouble scoring. 77 points against the Peacocks, okay, 68 against Wagner. Those are last year numbers for the Seton Hall Pirates. And I get it, they take up a lot of the shot clock. They try to get the best shot imaginable. They're taking on the Fairfield Stags, so we're coming off a victory on the road at NJIT, the New Jersey Institute of Technology. Fairfield wins the game. They really take over in the second half. Got 14-point efforts out of both Braden Sparks and Declan Wuscherprefinig. What? Wuscherprefinig. I don't know how to say that last name. He's from Teaneck, New Jersey. I'm going to be honest with you. He scored 14 points. He's a freshman. Hadn't heard of him until this season, obviously, for obvious reasons. Anyways, though, I think Fairfield should be competitive in this game. They went to Penn State, only lost by 8 points. And how do they do that? In a semi-low scoring, and not too low scoring, but 76-68 final. Guys, Seton Hall probably won't crack 70. It's probably going to be 65 points-ish for Penn State. Or sorry, not Penn State, Seton Hall. So that means Fairfield just needs to get into the 50s, and they should be fine in terms of covering the spread. They should be able to do exactly that. Who is the number one scorer for this team? We'll figure it out. I believe it's got to have to be Braden Sparks. Again, the freshman, and Declan, not going to try to pronounce his last name again, is an option as well. But Sparks is your guy. Played at Mercer a couple seasons ago. Started pretty much every single game last year for the Stags. So far this season, averaging 19.5 points per game. He is the starting point guard in this team. 25 in the Penn State loss, 14 in the victory over NJIT. But obviously the Stags sat most of their starters in that second half because, well, once they got a lead, second half, if that makes sense. Seton Hall, I'm not impressed by the roster. They still don't have a number one scorer, so until they establish that, I'm not confident at all in the squad. Yes, defensive-minded first, low-scoring games, sure. Again, we take up the clock. I get that. A team like this, you do not want to pick to cover 12.5 points. Just the way that they play and the guys that they have, they are not well equipped to win a basketball game by more than 12 points. So I'm going to go with the Fairfield Stags here on the road. If they can cover at Penn State, they should be able to cover against a lowly Seton Hall team as well. And I get it, Penn State's not going to be the best this year either, but I'm going to go with Fairfield plus 12.5 on the road at Seton Hall. I think it's a fairly easy cover here for the Stags. On to our third best bet of the video, we move to the SEC. Honestly, one of my favorite games to watch today, my favorite best bet, I think's coming up later in the video. Yeah, I have pretty good confidence in our next best bet. We'll get to in a second, even though it's an underdog. I'll say it on the money line. But anyways, first up, let's go to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, as we've got the Louisiana State Tigers hosting the New Orleans Privateers. I think it's time to really go all in on New Orleans. I know last season they were not a good team at all. I don't know if that was a real report or not that their team was being investigated for gambling last season, but look at the turnaround this year, and sure, that turnaround starts with their big victory, first game of the year at Texas Christian at Fort Worth, beating TCU 78-74, absolutely big time. Led in scoring on both nights for New Orleans. Their second game, by the way, they beat the Southern New Orleans Knights, okay? But the Privateers have been led in scoring by their point guard in both games so far this season. That would be Colton Benson. Benson is a transfer from Texas State. Started at Army, but then went to Texas State, and now here at New Orleans. He's averaging 20 points so far per game this season. He put up 22 in the TCU victory, and against that D2 school, he scored 18 points in 13 minutes. That's your guy. That is your guy for New Orleans this year. They've got some other starters who can hoop as well. Jacavion Buckley played 34 minutes in the TCU game, scored 13 points. They got 22 minutes and 10 points off the bench out of MJ Thomas. There are players for New Orleans, and I think this is one of the better teams out of all the mid-majors this season. I think when we see what they did in the portal, they completely transformed the roster. Will they win the Southland this year? I don't know. I mean, I know McNeese lost to Santa Clara, but I think that's still the team to watch out for, and it's still a team to be really confident in the Southland Conference. But so far, so good with New Orleans. This is a team that went out and beat Texas Christian. They look good in their Division II game, and now they embark on a very long road trip as they're playing a bunch of bye games, but we're going to see them now. They're going to get tested. Louisiana State, Tulane, Pepperdine, Fresno State, Mississippi State, Texas Tech. There's some tough games there. Did I say Memphis too? Memphis is in there as well. I don't know if I said that or not. They've got a lot of tough games coming up. I think they can remain competitive with Louisiana State. Will they remain competitive against all these good teams they're playing? I don't know. But LSU's only played one game this year, and they blew out Tarleton State. That's not a surprise. Tarleton State is no powerhouse by any stretch of the imagination. Louisiana State, though, struggled last year in the SEC. I get it. It is a very good conference of college basketball, but they were one of the bottom teams last year in the conference. Lost a lot of guys to the portal and graduation, so obviously they replenished their lineup because that's just, again, how Power 5 college basketball works. My big pickup, I would say, again, that I have always looked at for LSU this season is Markel Sutton, as someone who's a very avid Summit League watcher. By the way, shout out to the Jacks yesterday covering on the road, big ups in Cedar Falls. But as someone who watches a lot of Summit League basketball, Markel Sutton comes on over to LSU after a very good last year at Omaha, Nebraska. Really good career, honestly, with the Omaha, Nebraska Mavericks. Sutton so far this season averaging 13 points per game for the Louisiana State Tigers. Again, only one game, so that's his average, obviously. But Sutton plays good minutes. This is his senior year. Really excited for him. Mac McKinnon played some pretty big minutes in their first game. McKinnon played 27 minutes, scored 19 points. Again, we will see what we get out of LSU because I expect this game to be way more competitive compared to their first one, obviously. Again, their first game is a complete blowout, winning 96-60 against the Tarleton State Texans. It was Tarleton State's second game of the year. It was Louisiana State's first. We'll see what they get because, again, I like the starting lineup at LSU. I do. I just think that New Orleans can remain competitive because I believe a lot in that lineup at the same time. LSU right now starting, they're going with Denton Thomas at the 1. He is a transfer from UNLV. They've got at the 2 guard. It is Max McKinnon, who's from Portland. You got Sutton. I believe Sutton's playing the 3, obviously, again, from Omaha, Nebraska. You've got Jalen Reed's coming off the bench right now, so they're starting Nwoko at the 5, and then it's Pablo Tamba at the 4 right now. Tamba's from Davis, right? Yeah, Tamba's from Davis. Okay. I think New Orleans will be competitive in this spot. Again, I'd look at a guy like Benson, who has been a big-time scorer for them so far this year. Again, only playing 13 minutes in his last game and still scoring 18 points is absolutely huge. Grant Kemp has been a big part so far of this team. He is another senior guard for them. He's 5'9", but played one game, put up 9 assists in that matchup. I don't think he's going to play, but again, just looking at what these teams have done so far this season, again, Kemp was a big factor in their last win. Obviously, it was a blowout, but we'll see if he plays at all. I believe it's Churchill Abbas is their starting center. I think. No, Abbas is coming off the bench. Regardless, it's a deep New Orleans team. I think they're going to be fine here. And again, Colton Benson is the guy to watch out for. I believe they play fairly small from what I've seen out of the squad, and that's okay. I think they'll be able to run against Louisiana. I think it should be a tight game. I think it should. And asking New Orleans to cover 18.5 should be fine, considering, okay, this team went to Texas Christian and played a competitive game. That's all I need to see. They went to TCU and played competitively. We're not even asking them to get into a dogfight with Louisiana State like they did at Fort Worth. Again, that was beyond anyone's expectations what they did at TCU. They just need to remain within 18 points against Louisiana State, and I believe they're going to be able to do exactly that. So, me plus 18.5 here for the New Orleans Privateers. Already a crazy turnaround from last season. Let's keep it going now for New Orleans. Plus 18.5 at Louisiana State. Really excited to see what the Privateers can do, especially coming off that big win a couple games ago against TCU. On to potentially my favorite bet of the day. Let's go to Pullman, Washington. For the St. Thomas Tommies, St. Thomas, Minnesota Tommies, they go on the road to take on Washington State. I love this game, and I'm taking the Tommies to win. Again, here we go with the Summit League. But trust me, guys, the Summit's a good conference. I know we weren't, spot on earlier in the year with North Dakota. That wasn't great. It's fine. They lost to the damn cesspool. But this is a great spot for St. Thomas, guys. I don't know why they're underdogs, but they are. So we're going to take advantage of it. The only reason they are dogs, actually, is because the game's at Wazoo. But St. Thomas is a 1-1 team this season. They started their year in Northern California in Moraga against St. Mary's. They lost that game, but again, St. Mary's is a very good team, very defensively minded squad who won games against Gonzaga last year, and they were a good tournament team last season. So I'm not concerned about that loss. St. Thomas comes back home, takes on the Army Black Knights. Wins the game 83-76. Don't forget again what St. Thomas did last season. Now, they were not eligible to go to the NCAA tournament because they were still in their window of, I forget what the exact terminology is, but they were still in their window coming up from Division II. They fell one game short of winning the Summit League Championship. They lost to the Omaha, Nebraska Mavericks, but it was a great year last year for St. Thomas, Minnesota. They unfortunately lost their best player, Miles Barnstable. He is now at Tulsa, and he's playing very big minutes for the Golden Hurricanes, so good for him. But still, there's some players that I like on the St. Thomas squad here in 2025 and 2026. Their leading scorer in back-to-back games, and the guy who's probably going to take over taking the most shots every single night is Nolan Minnesel. Minnesota puts up 20 points in the Army victory, 24 points in the loss to St. Thomas. He started every game for the Tommies last year as well, averaged 26 minutes a night. You're going to see those minutes go from 26 to, I don't know, mid-30s now, I believe, because the Tommies are going to need him to score. Other than that, though, again, St. Thomas with a big victory over the Black Knights. You got double digits. You got 20-plus points out of Nolan in that game. You got 16 out of Nick Janikowski, 12 out of Carter Berjuke. Isaiah Johnson off the bench scored 11. So there's players, right? You got a freshman guard and Janowski who drops, again, those 16 points. I think the Tommies are going to be fine. They score quite a bit. I would not put anything into their low-scoring effort against St. Mary's. Put Washington State at St. Mary's and see what they do offensively. Look at Wazoo, man. They've lost back-to-back games. They lose their home opener and their season opener to the Idaho Vandals. Wow. I mean, it's just not a game you're supposed to lose if you're Wazoo. It's a team that, from my knowledge, has not done particularly well in the portal. They then played Davidson in their next game and got completely blown out. They lost 85-69 on the road to the Davidson Wildcats. And now here you are. You're an 0-2 team. Your leading scorer in back-to-back games has been the senior out of the Netherlands, in Emmanuel Ugbo, who is from played at Boise State last year. Now he's here at Wazoo. I think Wazoo obviously got worse. I mean, you saw what they did in the West Coast last year. They were a decent squad. I mean, out of them and Oregon State, the two teams that come down, they were both, kind of with each other, I'll be honest with you. Oregon State actually did they beat Wazoo twice last year? I feel like they did. Anyways, though, Wazoo, I mean, you lose some of your best guys. You had Nate Calmes is now gone. He is at Wake Forest. Lawan Watts played big minutes. He's at Texas Tech. Just all your big-time players left. Eric Strupp has graduated. It's a completely new squad. And at least for their opponents tonight, I like what the Tommies still bring. Yes, again, they lost their best guy to Tulsa, but there's still a lot of returning players on that team. That's a team with the winning mindset because, again, guys, the Tommies did one thing and one thing only last year, and that was win basketball games. And yeah, they didn't win the Summit League, and they knew in the back of their minds they weren't eligible for the tournament anyways, but they won games in a transition period year where ultimately you're not playing for anything. And now, okay, there's something to play for the Tommies. Right now, ESPN's bracketology and I believe CBS's bracketology, they both expect St. Thomas to win the Summit League and go to the NCAA tournament. And honestly, I think that's probably the right call. I think it is. I mean, the way South Dakota State's played so far, don't love that. We'll see. They took Dakota State D2 to a very tough game. I don't know. I mean, North Dakota State, UND doesn't have Eagle staff anymore. Omaha loses Markel Sutton. They're 0-3. I don't believe in anything that the Denver Pioneers or the Oral Roberts Golden Eagles or the Kansas City Roos are doing this season. So it's a wide open Summit League. Don't get me wrong. The conference game is going to be very competitive and they're going to be fun because that's just how the Summit is. Anyone can really beat anyone in that league. But it's wide open for the Tommies, and it's not a stretch at all to say that they are the best squad right now in the Summit League, and I think this is a big win for them. Guys, if Idaho's able to go to Washington State and win, the Tommies should be able to do the same exact thing as well. My thing on Wazoo right now, they don't have a number 2 scorer. It is just Emmanuel Ugbo for the most part here. I just don't know what else this team offers. I don't know. Again, Ugbo's going to score. Other than him, don't love it. He came off the bench, I think, in the Idaho game. I think he did. Yeah, he came off the bench in the Idaho game, but we saw in their last outing, again in the loss to Davidson, no one scored other than Ugbo for the most part. I think second leading scorer was, who was it? It was 8 points for Emilio Yalhu. Yeah. There's a lot of guys who scored, don't get me wrong, in the Idaho game. Then you go to Davidson, and one of your starters breaks 10 points in Ugbo, who didn't start in their first game but starts in the second. Yeah, I'm going to quite easily go with the Tommies on the road. I think they've got guys to replace, their transfers that left, and I think the Tommies are well equipped to go on a run this season. And if Wazoo can lose at home to Idaho, they can lose at home to the St. Thomas Tommies. Give me St. Thomas, Minnesota on the road, plus 125 in Pullman to go out there and beat the Washington State Cougars. On to our final best bet of the video, we move to the late night spot over in Haas Pavilion. We go to Berkeley, California for the Cal State Fullerton Titans on the road in Berkeley against California. Give me Cal State Fullerton. We're taking a lot of underdogs here. I think, did we take all underdogs today? I think we did. Yeah, we did. That's fine. No, we took SIUE. Post SIUE, we took all dogs today. And that's intentional because all these spots for these dogs are absolutely great for us. Okay, this is another one. California is not 23 points better than Cal State Fullerton. Fullerton just went to Laramie. They lost by 10 points to the Wyoming Cowboys. Okay, we'll see. Guys, Cal State Fullerton's got a guy who we talked about a couple days ago who played big minutes last year in the Missouri Valley Conference. It was a guy who led in some games, had really good games and had really bad games, but this is his team now, and I'm going to get to him in a second. But I'm telling you, the addition of Jefferson De La Cruz Monegero is absolutely massive. It's massive. This is a guy who played at Western Michigan 2 years ago, started there every single game, started at Valpo last season. Again, beginning of the year for Valpo, De La Cruz had big games, 20-plus point outings, had to share the rock with guys later in the season, like Schrager and whatnot. He has his own team now. Like, he is the guy at Fullerton. He scored 21 points. Last game against Wyoming, Bryce Cofield scores 21 points off of the bench, the freshman out of Chatsworth, California. So there's another guy. Again, he's played limited minutes so far this season off the bench in their first game against a Division II school. I think did they play Caltech? Did they play? They actually played Caltech. Is Caltech not D3? They played Caltech in their first game, and Cofield, coming off the bench, plays 18 minutes, scores 13 points. Game against Wyoming and Laramie, 14 minutes, 21 points. That's massive. It is Jefferson De La Cruz Monegero's team. I think he's going to have a big outing today, like he has in both games that he's played so far this season for Fullerton. And I look at California, the Golden Bears, 2-0 this season, but you beat Cal State Bakersfield, who has gotten way worse, and then you beat the Wright State Raiders by 10. Wright State can be a tough out. Like, I've seen it multiple times with the last 5 years. I was at a game in Bloomington once upon a time where Wright State came into Indiana and was winning with like 2 minutes left in the first half against the Hoosiers in a very high scoring affair. So I get it. That can be a difficult game, but Cal wins the game by 10, low scoring first half, higher scoring second, but a game where Wright State's just in it. And California eventually pulls away and wins the game. They were led in scoring by Day Amos, who is a junior from Chicago, so far averaging 20.5 points per game. Started quite a bit last year for Virginia, and at K-State the year prior to that. He is going to be the number one option, at least so it appears so far this season, for Berkeley. I'm not too impressed, though, by this team. I'm not. I feel like they got worse as well. John Camden is a senior. He played at Delaware, right? Yeah. Camden's from Delaware. He's in his sixth year of college. He's a senior. He's been playing big minutes for them as well. California, though, again, is a completely new lineup for the most part. This is a team that did struggle quite a bit last season. A little surprised they got Amos, but I guess he saw a spot where he could be very beneficial for this team. They lose Stojakovic in the offseason. And it's a completely, for the most part, new starting five. I think they have one returning starter in Lee Dort. I don't think did Dort start last season? I know Dort was at Cal. He returns. Didn't really start last season. So it's a completely new starting five. You bring in Justin Pippen. You bring in John Camden. Chris Bell are all new to the team as well. Again, Pippen, obviously, pretty big get over for Michigan. We'll see what he can do through a whole season, though, for California. I feel like they're a little undersized as well. And I just think it's a really competitive spot against Fullerton. Well, okay, competitive to the sense where 22.5 is going to be competitive. Do I have any doubt in my mind that California is going to win the basketball game? No, I think they're going to easily take it. But they lost their two best scorers last season, and it's not like those guys can just graduate. No, Stojakovic went to Illinois, and Jeremiah Wilkinson went to Georgia. You lose both of those guys, and it's like, all right, I don't really love the team that's left over. And again, it's college basketball. You're in the ACC. You have to basically buy your team to remain competitive in such a competitive conference too. But it's one of the bottom tier teams, in my opinion, in the Atlantic Coast this season. I look at Cal State Fullerton. Again, what is there beyond Jefferson De La Cruz and Bryce Cofield? Just a bunch of guys are going to contribute. You're going to see De La Cruz try to attack the basket, get to the free throw line. Same thing with Bryce Cofield. I mean, those guys combined shot 20 free throws the last game against the Wyoming Cowboys. But I do think it's a Titans team that has a little bit of momentum, right? You got that first road trip out the way this season. You go all the way to Laramie, Wyoming. Now you just got to go up north about an hour on a plane, 45 minutes on a plane, and you got to go play Cal Berkeley, who I don't think, again, is that dominant squad this season, losing Stojakovic and company from last season. I think Cal State Fullerton's going to be fine. They scored 82 points in the road against Wyoming. Sure, again, was that really 4 guys who scored the 82 points? Yeah, it was Cofield, it was Jefferson De La Cruz, it was Joshua Ward, one of their other starters. He's a one guard from, I don't know, he played at some D2 last year, but he's from Memphis, right? Those are going to be your leading scorers. I get it. Jaden Henderson played big minutes off the bench as well. That's okay. They got a lot of D2 talent, and I think this team's hungry to win, hungry to compete, and they play pretty quick as well, which I think should help their chances in a game where they have a 22.5-point line. I'm going to go Cal State Fullerton on the road plus 22.5 against the Cal Berkeley Golden Bears. Again, it's just too big of a line in my opinion, and we're going to really rely on the big dogs tonight to come through and keep us in games. So folks, thank y'all for watching our college basketball best bets here for Monday, November 10th. If you have not yet though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. We'll be back tomorrow for more daily college basketball best bets. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.